Hey guys, today we're trying World of Darkness, Vampire, the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. Is that the name? Is that all the name? I think I got all the name in there. There you go. Alright. This is a visual novel that came out this year, or I guess maybe not last year now. Oh, we have only three clans to pick from. And none of them are mine. So Brujah, Ventrue, and Toreador. Brujah's are like the generic warrior dudes, right? The rabble rebel against power and rage against authority. A seemingly insignificant man with significant ideas will join their ranks tonight. Ventrue. That looks like the lady from V and Deadpool and Firefly. The aristocratic blue bloods embody wealth, sovereignty, and control. A top-level corporate executive will join their ranks tonight. Or Toreador. The divas seek thrills of art, romance, and cruelty amidst stagnant undeath. A tormented artist will join the ranks tonight. Let's go for it. Lamar is acceptable. I'll go with Lamar, that's fine. New York taught me to believe in fate. Had you asked me about fate back when I was a human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit, that we are all designers of our own destinies. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth into my neck. It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now, by the way. Fate? You decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again. I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone, far more powerful than me, saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within, and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me, the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth braggart and see them for all that they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate, a message saying, you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom, it was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it, given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me, just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be a day some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you've never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it, that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I'd trust to do the job well, and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy, asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. You stifle a yawn. It's been a slow evening. A little bit of red liquid left in your glass, and the crumbs on the plate remind you that, if nothing else, these art exhibitions at least come with some decent wine and legit catering. And, yeah, it's fun to talk about your work on display, even if you end up discussing it with pretty much the same people at each such occasion. You've already met that one critic who keeps telling you, with self-assured authority, how you should pursue a different artistic avenue. Then there's the obligatory doe-eyed art student who's oh so impressed with your technique. To be fair, you're not all that happy with your latest piece. But hey, it's not the worst thing you've seen tonight. That ignoble, dubious honor belongs to one of the other paintings on the display. And yet, its author, currently being paraded around by his rich parents, has barely been able to grab a bite of the fancy canapes. So many sycophants to meet, so little time. For a moment, you think that maybe it's not worth it. Maybe you should take the critic's advice, cut your losses, sell out to some corporation and get it over with. And, as if the universe wanted to validate that train of thought, that's the exact moment your sister Emma decides to pop into your view. So let me get this straight. Cushy corporate jobs are selling out, but supporting a billionaire's vanity project is totally fine with you? Hi, Em. You absolutely despise her as an artist. While you're struggling to uphold some nebulous ideals of what art is meant to be, she's perfecting her ways of mooching off the system. Shamelessly preying on little-known street art and niche internet memes, she repackages them as Brujah-friendly collages. So it's perhaps no wonder the NYT has recently dubbed her a mind-blowing explorer of digital art's extreme possibilities. But in spite of all that, you absolutely love her as a person, even as you welcome her by smacking the back of her head, a gesture meant to convey nothing but deep affection. No, but seriously, supporting young artists, my ass. I don't know what kind of money you got out for this piece, but I doubt it was even a fraction of what it's going to be worth in tax benefits. The gallery owner actually said that he had to choose his most valuable audience. It'd be the IRS. I'm pretty sure he was only half kidding. You mumble a non-answer, then segue into a different subject, trying to preemptively quell her repeated offers to get you a steady job. Of course, she proves as incessant as ever. You know, sometimes I just don't get you. On the one hand, you wouldn't be caught dead taking money from the inevitable winner of the culture wars. On the other, if someone gave you the chance to collaborate on some dumbass Oscar bait flicks, weird line break there, sponsored by Larry Ellison's bailout fund, you do that shit for free. She rolls her eyes and asks, you know what the only difference is between the art scene and the culture industry? The culture industry actually pays your bills. As expected of someone who's given up on attempts to infuse her work with any sort of enduring quality and decided to just keep responding to the zeitgeist, she claims to happily accept the fact that after she dies, both she and her work will end up in a landfill. When you respond that you prefer chasing a 1 in a million chance to immortalize yourself, she claims it reeks of an overinflated ego. But you've been down this road so many times before, and managed to accept she'll never understand what's truly important to you. Slowly, but surely, you move on to more agreeable topics. Your plans to finance your plans to finally get hammered together, or the most recent crop of garbage Netflix shows your friends have tricked you into trying out. Alright, I gotta go. I've got a date. She peeks at a bunch of middle-aged men in expensive suits who have stopped pretending to care about the exhibition and are exchanging the worst lecherous jokes they've got in their stale repertoire. Have fun with your friends, class traitor. She gives you a hug and heads to a nearby elevator. There goes the pleasant part of the evening. Still, you decide to delay the inevitable and catch a quick smoke break. So far it's decently written. No major errors, and it's not written boringly. You have a lot of characters that are infused to their particular personality. Although everyone has a sense of superiority. The narrator, the sister, and the guy from the beginning. Truth be told, people aren't exactly lining up to chat about your work anyway. I suppose it's almost inevitable tone for a game that's going to be full of vampires. As you leave your post, you start tapping your pockets in search of a lighter. Instead, you find a $100 bill you're absolutely sure wasn't there before. Jesus Christ, Em, you're the worst. And the best. You can feel your cheeks turn red, but you gratefully put the money in your wallet and move outside. When you reach the balcony, you look out at New York City and light the second to last cigarette left in the pack. Why is New York City glowing green? Is Scarecrow's fear toxin been let loose? You're alone. It's not silent. The metropolitan hum is ever present, even this high up. But it's a good deal more intimate than what's behind your back. You lean over the railing and look down. The streetlights beckon more than usual. In your mind's eye, you see yourself as your final artwork, beautifully splattered all over the pavement. Jeez. Alright, that's what you mean by beckoning. I had a feeling. Working title, Delusion of Grandeur. The author, a brilliant artistic soul crushed by unfeeling reality. Gone too soon. You chuckle and flick the cigarette into the air. Littering. Freshened up by the night's cool breeze, you squeeze back into the stuffy interior. You barely make it a few steps before lethargy sets back in. It's like you never left. Still, something in the room feels different. Your eyes are drawn to a handsome young man, neatly dressed and groomed, exuding the air of a true artiste with an E at the end, so it's extra fancy. And the best part? He's intently looking at your painting. The gallery's almost an art installation itself now. People are standing in silent awe, the guy like a beacon, drawing everyone's attention. Hushed conversations about the guest could be heard from every corner of the gallery. Alright, so that's definitely a vampire. Your heart's pounding with excitement. And you approach, feeling like a kid trying to get close to a deer in the woods but afraid you'll scare it away. The man turns to you, and you stop in your tracks, entranced. Oh yeah, he's definitely a vampire. Look at that pipe! This is one of your pieces. You manage to mumble an affirmation. Tell me about it, please. As you start discussing your inspiration, technique, and process, the man's eyes lock onto the painting again. He keeps interjecting, making knowing remarks. This guy gets it. He really gets it. The world around you disappears. You'll say anything, do anything to keep his attention on you, but you realize you don't need to. He's into your art. He's into you. I want to buy it, and I want your company. I need to talk to you. You will like what I have to say. Spoken matter-of-factly, served straight up, like he knows that you won't refuse, that you can't refuse. Because he's a Toreador. No, he's a... Is he a Toreador? I need to get more of these names right. He's the high-class one that seduces people. I think that was a Toreador, but I could be wrong. Am I a Toreador? Which is not that one. I'm bad at this. I played as the animal faction last time. Much more memorable, those guys, than Nosferatu. An hour later, you find yourself at his apartment. One of many, you presume, with your self-esteem all but patched up and your head full of fine vintage. You tell your host a lot. In fact, it seems like you're telling him everything. Oh yeah, he's definitely the mind control-y, seducey character. Where you came from, how you ended up in NYC, how you had to take out a loan to appear at tonight's event, how you took the long look down the balcony, that you thought about taking the plunge, and this time, you were only half joking. You feel miserable. You start crying. He holds you in his arms. You feel calmer. The tears stop flowing. It's been so long since you last had someone you could not just talk to, but communicate with, be seen by. Who knows? Maybe there's hope for you yet. That feeling of bliss is the last thing you remember before passing out. Next thing you know, you're lying on the couch in that same apartment. Hungry and dehydrated. How long has it been? Hours? Days? More? You're feeling weak, confused, abandoned. You look around in a panic. Is he still here? Thank God. Yes, there he is, standing in the doorway. His voice breaks the silence and fills you with hope till you realize what he's saying. I am so sorry. I hope that maybe, one night, you'll forgive me. Always remember that in our parting moment I wished you well. You try to speak, ask him to stay, but no voice leaves your parched throat. You taste something on your lips. Wiping your mouth leaves a crimson stain on your hand. It's not the wine. What the fuck? The door of the apartment closes behind him. Alone. Again. Then the pain hits. It's a headache. A lurching in your stomach. A burning in your arms and legs. It's all you can focus on. A panic takes you. You fall from the sofa and hit a wine glass. It flies off into the wall, shattering into bits. A mumble from the corner of the room indicates that you're not as alone as you thought. From where you're lying, you only see a feminine shape stirring awake. You crawl towards the woman, inch by inch. The pain turns into an urge. You need to get close to her. You begin to see details. The long hair shrouding her face, the worn-out NYC hoodie thrown over her skimpy dress. She opens her eyes, moves her locks to one side, exposes her neck. A rapid instinct takes you. In the blink of an eye, you find yourself buried in her hair, smelling her sweat, mixed with just a hint of cheap perfume. You bite down and drink the blood from her vein. Wait. What is happening? You break away. You look at the girl. She lets out a sigh, goes limp and unconscious again. You try to crawl back, her dress rolled up to the side, and you glance at her naked thigh. You lose control again. Bite her leg. Drink deep from that artery. It's intoxicating. It's bliss like you've never known before. It's beautiful. You break away again. Fall to your back. What the hell was that? Did you really drink her blood? She's not moving. Oh god, she's not moving. You check her pulse. She's cold to the touch. Nothing. No heartbeat, no sign of breathing. That's when it hits you. Your chest isn't moving either. Your heart is not beating. You are cold to the touch. You reach for your phone. It's not there. Where did you leave it? Or maybe he took it. Impossible to say. You stumble around the apartment, but nothing you can use to call for help. You need to get out of here now. You look outside the window. You're high above the streets. There's no balcony, and the building's exterior is glass almost all the way down. You'd never survive the jump. But maybe that's precisely why you should leave this room this way. You've just killed somebody. Your life's essentially over. A sickening void is opening in your stomach, warning you that your reality is about to turn into unbearable hell. A voice in the back of your head tells you that the smartest course of action is to take the leap before it does. And the more you argue with it, the more reasonable it sounds. You're just about ready to pick up one of the chairs and try to break the window when you hear the clicking of keys in the lock. You freeze in place. This is bad. Your thoughts start racing desperately, but instead of a rational course of action, only visions of false hope come to your mind. What if it's him? What if he's had a change of heart? What if he sent someone for me? You almost feel your heart beat again with excitement as the doors open. Almost. But not quite. A man enters, but not the one you expected. He's tall, broad-shouldered, handsome, with a darkish skin. His suit is stylish and immaculate. You've never seen him in your life, but you immediately see past his sharp looks to see his sharper nature. He's a predator, and if you're not careful, you might become his prey. Good evening. I'm here to pick you up. A deep, emotionless voice. He turns his eyes to the lifeless body of the girl in the NYC hoodie and raises his eyebrow. Choices, at long last. So that escalated quickly. I was buckled up for a really long, boring intro. Not necessarily boring, but just slow. Visual novels can be so slow. So I was like, when I was wondering, like, if I go for half an hour, will we see a vampire? And it's like, yes, we will. We will become a vampire immediately, as it turns out. There's just a quick cold open to establish your backstory, and then boom, kidnapping. This isn't what it looks like. Please, you have to help me. That's what I'm here for, after a fashion. He approaches the bed to examine the corpse from up close. Well, this is unfortunate, but preferable to going insane from hunger. Quite a nice gesture, actually, if troublesome. He briefly looks at you with something like pity in his eyes, then changes his expression to a perfectly blank one. Listen, you may perceive your current situation as something out of the ordinary, but I've met hundreds of lost sheep like you, and you see, they tended to fall into two categories. First, there are the smart ones. Those who carefully obeyed my every word and didn't pull off any stupid stunts. They always got where they needed to go, safe and sound. Then there were the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on. The wise guys who tried to contact someone secretly and without permission. The troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, a lot of them never reached their destination at all. The man talks in a bored, professional tone, giving off an impression that he really has delivered this speech countless times by now. So you see, despite being a smart person, I'm a Mets fan. I wasn't ready for that. I love baseball, and it inspired me to come up with a 3-strike system to determine if someone is dumb. If you get on my nerves in 1 or 2 times, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful circumstances. But if you do it 3 times, understand that there will be no excuse, no forgiveness, no mercy. His presence changes ever so slightly. Say, I understand, sir. Now. You feel an overwhelming, barely resistible urge to fulfill his demand. I understand, sir. Excellent. Alright. Have you got anyone you'd like to inform about your current situation and tell them you're alright? He flashes his fangs briefly as he talks, and for some reason, the sight causes a chill to run down your spine. Something's wrong with him. Someone closest to you? Run away, run away, run away. Lie. Whoa, full lie. His name's Eduardo. He's my boyfriend. He lives in Queens. He's a barista, and, the The stranger's been watching you with wary eyes since the moment you started talking, but only interrupts you at the first moment of visible hesitation. You're 100 years too young to try and fool me, whelp. Even your tells have tells. First strike, try again. Your first instinct is to protest, but you realize your thoughts are still too scrambled and panicked to come up with anything coherent. You give up on all planned attempts to provide poor Eduardo with convincing psychological depth. Emma, my sister. She's probably having a night out in Brooklyn with her artist friends. Can I call her now? You take out your phone while asking the question. It was in your pocket all along. It must have been panic talking before. He shakes his head and points to the hooded corpse next to him. If you want to implicate her, go ahead. I think we'd all be better off if you let me make sure that she only knows what she needs to know. Yeah, agreed. Here I thought mentioning an outside person was going to be a mistake because he talked about people who run and try to contact other people. So I thought that was bait, like he was testing me again because he was testing me before. Give me her phone number. I'll have someone get in touch with her. You oblige and hand him the smartphone so he can copy the number from your list of contacts. Thank you. This will be useful in illustrating my next point. He's gonna threaten her. Yeah, he's definitely gonna threaten her. Instead of giving you back your phone, the man hides it in his pocket. From this night onwards, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up with, and you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone you know you're still alive. You're forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes to search for you, it's over, both for you and them. He interrupts his monotone recitation to stare deep into your eyes. So if you don't want someone to find your poor sister's body in the Hudson River next week, cooperate. The side of his fangs again. And another physical fight-or-flight response. You've played right into his hands, putting Em in danger. I didn't have a choice, really. Actually, I literally didn't have a choice. You forced me to after I chose not to do that. I can only hope that you care for her enough not to do anything selfish. By now, you are absolutely sure he's just toying with you, provoking you just to feed on your reactions. He hasn't told you where you're going yet, but he's already made it abundantly clear that a lot of people struggled hard to avoid getting there. You'd be far more eager to cooperate if he never raised the subject, but he made a point to make you fear the unknown. He's pushing you, but to what end? Does he want to intimidate you into complete submission? Is he hoping you'd give him an excuse to get rid of you? Or maybe he's testing you, forcing you to show that what you're made of. Somehow, he makes all these options seem plausible at once. Alright, I think that's enough lectures for today. He takes a glance at his silver watch. It's a Patek Philippe. The kind of brand mere mortals never see outside of luxury lifestyle magazines. Just who are you dealing with here? It's past 3 a.m. now. The sun will come up in just a few hours, so we don't have much time. Come. We need to leave so that the corpse can be taken care of. He turns his back to you to unlock the door. Okay. You obediently follow him out of the room. Before he locks it again, you manage to take a final glimpse of the corpse. Feel a pang of conscience, but not because of your victim's horrible fate. It's because you don't feel guilty, even though you know you should. Something important inside of you that was there yesterday has definitely died tonight. You wonder if you'd even recognize yourself in the mirror. The stranger shows you to the elevator. You go to the ground floor. The word vampire has not come up yet. The stranger has actually not adequately explained my situation. Just the threats. Just the rules. During an awkward ride, your dazed and confused mind desperately searches for a glimmer of hope, and eventually comes across one. Maybe you'll find the man you met earlier this night. Why did that man target me? What was their motive? That's what I'd like to know. As of yet, he is unidentified. They have left no trace, and it's obvious they are not planning to come back for you. This is the same setup as, Bloodlines, more or less. If, and that is a big if, you ever see them again, it will be tomorrow, and probably for the last time. The execution. What do you mean for the last time? His face is inscrutable. I said what I said. All I can add for now is, tomorrow is a big night for you. My initiation. So if they catch him, they'll execute him tomorrow because it's illegal to turn a vampire. It's illegal to create new sire new vampires without permission. I think that's the word they use. The elevator doors open to an empty hall. You walk outside past the night guard's post, which is empty. The cold night air reminds you of the balcony just a few hours ago. The man motions to a black Cadillac Escalade. Take a seat in the back, please. You get inside. The man closes the door behind you. You hear a click as it locks. The Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The side windows seem light-proof. He's not big on looking where he's going, huh? The man gets into the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without comment. Am I drugged? Am I tripping? I don't think so, but then again, who knows what that girl had in her bloodstream. He stops mid-sentence and shakes his head. Forgive me, I'm not in the talkative mood. This won't be a long drive. Patience. Dead silence fills the car. You close your eyelids and sink back into your thoughts. A blurry afterimage of the man who bought your painting is still there. It's strange. You never felt this way about anybody. It makes you happy, even though you have the nagging thought that there is something fundamentally abusive about this attraction. Yeah, more or less. Without consent, he changed your life forever. Then the girl's hair spilled over the purple hoodie, and her blood spilled over the cold floor come into sharp focus. You wince. You want to cry, but it's as if there was no more tears left in you. After what feels like an eternity, the car comes to a stop. You get out in an underground parking lot. It's an ugly, concrete, gray thing. But for the car you came in... empty, but for the car you came in. It looks like there's a room beyond a metal door in the wall. That's how doors work, yes. Guess you'll live to see another night. Follow me. He opens the metal door and lets you inside. Here we are. These are your lodgings for tonight. If you get hungry again, take a look in the fridge. Tomorrow, I will come to pick you up. The cramped room has no windows, just a simple bed, a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, a small humming fridge, and a rattling AC fan in the wall. It has all the coziness of a solitary prison cell. You notice claw marks on the inner side of the entrance door. I can't feel myself breathing. I can't sense my heartbeat. I need to go to the hospital, man. You're gonna be fine. Listen, normally I'd lose my nerve right about now, and things would get nasty, but I get it. You're scared. You don't understand what happened. Yeah, weird threat for no reason, dude. Trust me, you will learn more tomorrow. But now, I need you to rest, and you need you to rest. He gestures inside the room. Finding no more willpower to resist, you step inside. The stranger nods contently. The art is fantastic, by the way, just across the board. Good night. He locks the door behind you. It looks very secure and sturdy. You open the fridge. There's a single plastic bag there, filled with red liquid, unlabeled. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best leave it for now. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. kind of grimy and damp. Seeing it makes you grimace, but you're just too tired not to lie down. Your entire body hurts, a dull feeling that makes you feel heavy. You feel vulnerable and lonely. Usually, when that happened, you turn your attention to painting, just to not think about the alternative. Your family upbringing left you with no skills but artistic talent. Creating art used to be something of an unpleasant duty. Somewhere along the line, though, it became the only weapon you had to fight against the existential despair. Some of your best work was created in lieu of impotently crying in bed. Hell, you're pretty sure a few of those pieces had your tears mixed in the paint. Like the painting that led your whole night to this. You look back at your life, and it starts looking like a downward spiral. You are so tired. Your entire body tenses up, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. You wake up. That, in itself, is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like steep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on. The AC is still rattling. The refrigerator is still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone, and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead? If you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge. The bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out, take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint. You remember that situations in the past where you found it nauseating, but now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing. It feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes bland. Reminds you of the cheap supermarket juice. Just enough flavor to register as what it claims to be on the box, but nothing like the real thing. Nothing like what you had the last time. You swallow it. Somehow it doesn't feel sick. In a weird, messed up way, you can't help but think it feels nourishing. You take a few more sips, and then just another one. Suck on the bag a little more. Eventually you find that you've emptied it entirely. All, you look at the info pressed into the side of the bag, 450 milliliters of it. Damn, half a liter. Even with its blandness, you feel like having more. You realize your body longs for that intoxication high you felt when an image of that corpse crosses your mind, causing you to wince. What have you become? Try to piece your thoughts together, make sense of it all when you hear the lock click and the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit, again. That predatory look, like a hawk on a hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. Like a tamed hawk, maybe. Okay. Good evening. Slept well? He notices the discarded, emptied bag. I see you had a bit of a snack. Am I still a human being? Luckily, one does not typically shed their entire humanity in 2 nights. You should be fine. Come on, we've got places to be. The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room, and you have spent the day... of the cramped room you've spent the day in. The man motions to it politely, but with a stern look on his face. He still hasn't explained, like, the sun kills you, you need blood to survive, you're living undead now. stuff like that. I guess that's what today is going to be for, but like, what if I guess I was locked in place, so he's just going to just control me first and then inform me later. Okay, lead the way. After you. You take the back seat again. The doors lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed. So all you hear is a bit of traffic humming in the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yep, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. I don't see any glass there. There's nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You try to extract some information out of the man behind the wheel, but you realize you'd prefer to bask in the afterglow of your last meal. You wouldn't have expected it, but you spend the rest of the trip lost in your thoughts. A lot of them concern blood. It takes you another 20 minutes or so to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York. That much is certain. Queens, maybe. Wait. You know exactly where you are. The nice-looking two-story building has a logo you immediately recognize. The Art Hole. An avant-garde gallery, used to hold that collection of bagged viscera and body parts by... You can't quite remember the guy's name. He's Brazilian, you think. Fabio something or other. After me. No sudden movements, please. You've never been inside. Not quite your style. But the place has quite the cult following. You keep racking your brain for more facts, hoping that'll help with whatever you've got into. Two large men in suits flank the door to the gallery on both sides. They give your companion a nod as you approach, prompted by the stranger who guides you. You walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they've gathered here for. Nobody seems particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces, and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. Memories come back to you, like a bad case of PTSD. How many times before had someone judged you, impassively or decisively, through your art? You'd share a piece of yourself with the world, and it would respond by making you feel like garbage. It always took a lot of effort to not lose your cool and tell all of them to shove their opinions up their collective asses. Now, looking around, it feels like you've become another artwork, as commodity, to be judged by a bunch of obscenely wealthy, out-of-touch assholes. It makes you want to scream. Good evening, Kadir. And to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery. The crowd of strangers. You being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, Miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helen Panhard, child of Michaela. Something like that. Thank you, my sheriff. But I am capable of introducing myself. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people. That much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction to unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. Wait, my sire? You mean the man I met at the gallery? That's one of the things we're here to ascertain. You are about to be judged by the Court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society, make-believe? A trusted informant, who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time, tipped me off to a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. Interestingly, his sire made use of an older haven of one of the clan of the Rose for the embrace. They were even thoughtful enough to leave a local woman for the fledgling to slake his thirst on. Despite some reservations, he offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force his compliance. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged him to join me, which he did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. His thirst partially slaked with the bagged blood we kept in the safe house, we had a pleasant enough drive here. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman, with curly, almost blood-red hair, and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Don't get to see what she looks like, apparently. Thank you, Kadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. This is basically the opening of Bloodlines, like note for note. Just without Bender. She turns her attention to you. First, there was the matter of your sire. The person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? He was beautiful, charismatic, charming, dark hair, sort of artistic mess. He had an accent I couldn't recognize. He took notice of my art, bought a piece in fact. I want to meet him again. The last sentence came out almost involuntarily. You immediately feel ashamed, sound like a sad puppy, whimpering after their master. It's definitely that exact. I don't know if Toreador is the right word or not, I forget. But it's the one that... It's definitely the ones that, seduce people and make them loyal and so on. The high-class ones. I think you could pick them. I think that was the middle option. Yes. You want to meet that Matt again. There's an urge deeper than you've ever felt. Maybe even love? No. That's idiotic. He never even introduced himself to you. He used you. That asshole just plain used you. For what? Well, Kadir? Does that sound familiar? No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. That guy, he bought my painting at the gallery. Didn't pay in cash, I think. Maybe you can track him that way. Oh, did your outlook on him change all of a sudden? He smirks, seemingly enjoying your misery. Personal jabs aside, thank you for that observation. I will investigate this later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. Meanwhile, I'm just casually standing here as everybody questions murdering me. Not a very good reward for my compliance. If it still just ends in your death. The prince. Why is that in quotes? We don't know if she's the prince or not. Leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Kadir what all that talk of traditions and councils was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie. Sheriff. I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you're in quite a pickle. Wait, did I hear that right? What did he say about a sword? Your hearing isn't faulty. We only have a short while before the prince hears her counsel out and Kadir returns here with his blade, so listen, please. Last night, you became a vampire. Wait, what? I feel like you might have clued this together sooner, but okay. Oh yes, I am well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains, the beings called vampires? You're looking at them. They're us. You glance around, some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying it, and your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, what the fuck, on a repeat? Fair. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as sure as the day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and your deference to Kadir will work in your favor. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I am not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. Suppose I say yes. What happens then? You survive. Hopefully. Or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance, not a guarantee. But if you take me as your patron, I will be your guide in this new reality, and you will assist me, like a child would a sire. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. See, they need permission from the elder in order to make a sire. So if a sire happens via illicit means, that's a power move for one of the factions to try to snatch them up as essentially a free sire that was received outside the rules. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard, fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla, gathered here tonight, I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. She briefly addresses you. I want you to know that this was not an easy decision to make. For your part, you have not done anything to earn our ire. I do feel a genuine sorrow for what must be done. We are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. There is no place for tolerating dissent when our very existence is under constant threat, although I acknowledge that some of my council's divergent opinions on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a rather plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that must be punished. That doesn't really make any sense. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir? You hear a scraping sound, and you see the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. You don't need to joke about my death. Mets fan. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you note just a hint of sadness in his countenance. One that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. You make your choice. I don't want to die. Spare me, please. Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response, the sword still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. Prince, While the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. Am I to understand you are volunteering to take this sireless child under your protection? Yes. I happen to think they might hold a potential that would be unfortunate to waste. I do expect their cooperation, of course. Whispers can be heard again. An incredulous voice or two. A hushed, just behead the fucker. Some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence. I ask all of you to take note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling, and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. And I would like to receive the right to destruction over them if it pleases you. It's clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death, or second death, apparently, and keeping silent. He decides for the best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of the most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley? Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? I'm a painter. I've used a moniker before. Would that suffice? You may use any name that's appropriate to be utilized in an official manner. My name is Lamar, then. Oh, apparently my moniker is inappropriate. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Lamar. Dictionary, the Camarilla. Wow, what a definition. So much. A major sect of vampires devoted to primarily maintaining the Masquerade through influence and manipulation of mortal society. They don't even say what the Masquerade is. We're an hour in and we don't know what the Masquerade is in Vampire the Masquerade. Even though most people playing this know what that is already anyway. Anyway, we're officially in the Camarilla. We're officially not executed. That's probably a decent stopping point for our preview. So this has been Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. Coteries of New York. I don't know that word really, honestly. I'm just gonna be honest about that. If you would like to check this game out for yourself, there's a link in the description to the Steam page. Thank you to the developers for for sending me a code to preview their game. My voice is getting hoarse from an hour of reading straight. Thanks for watching like always, guys, and I'll see you next time. So far, the writing and the art seems on point. I'm not sure, but I can't judge a story until I finished it, and we won't be, probably, so there's that.